Perfect timing. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm all alone and still learning to let go. I'll carry on my own and find out where I belong. And I just need to move on. I have hope. I'm open to a new place, a new road. I'm on my own, but I'm better off alone. Yeah, I'm better off alone.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Ben and I film cars, take pictures of cars, and sometimes post stuff about cars. Today we've got a super cool video with this NA Miata and Dennis. He does autocross, but before that, he daily drove this car every single day to and from work, to and from school, and this thing now has gone through a couple different stages of autocross mods, and he's done, I believe, 4 track days with this thing. So we're gonna go through and talk about everything he's done to make this thing as good on the track as possible in just 4 sessions, as well as the little bit of the history of this car before he started autocrossing it. Okay guys, so we got Dennis here with us. Why don't you start off briefly with the history of this car, where you got it, how much you paid for it. There's a whole separate video talking about this exact NA Miata on the channel, guys. It's actually the 2nd most popular video on the channel. Yeah. My car is like the 4th or something, and Danny's car is in front of this as well. But why don't you talk briefly about this car?
Yeah, so I got this car a year and a half ago. It was like, I got it for 5,500 bucks. The paint job was all garbage. Looks wise, it was pretty bad. All these little trims and the paint, it was just horrible. It was chippy, it was disgusting. And it was on stock wheels that were also kind of rusty and spotty. I still got it. It had low miles, like 129,000, which is pretty low. It's a 1990, and the first thing I did was get a paint job for it. I tried to do it myself, didn't go well. It was pretty bad, but so I ended up putting it into a shop. Shortly after, literally like 6 hours later, I scratched my bumper, but we're gonna talk about that later. Liked the car, liked how it drove, it was fun. So I got wheels for it. I think that was the first thing. I got Vors 15x8s. With 0 offset, so they stuck out a lot. And I had stretched tires, I had a bit of camber, especially in the back. The back was the worst. And that's kind of all I had. I put an exhaust later. It was also like a Manzo catback. It was really loud. But that's kind of all I did for the car when I just got it. Just recently, like I started seeing a lot of videos and clips of motorsports like F1, WEC, rallycross, like all these things. It was really fascinating to me, and I really wanted to get into motorsports. And you know, like people like Max Verstappen, they started like when they were like 8, which I'm already past that point. So I just wanted to find out how to do it locally here, and you know, in any way I can. And everyone that I asked, and when I searched it up, it was always autocross. Autocross was the first thing to do. So that's what I wanted to do. And with my current setup with those wheels, I think I had this steering wheel on, and then that was kind of it. I just took that and I drove it on autocross.
So you went out with your first event with basically a completely stock NA except for an exhaust. You had wheels, tires, and a steering wheel, and you had...
Well, yeah, I mean, I had other mods on the car that I didn't put on. They were on there. So yeah. I had like Racing Beast sway bars, cold air intake.
You had coils too, didn't you?
I did have coils.
Okay.
I had BC Racing coils, but I was riding pretty high. Mm-hmm. So basically, honestly, kind of like stock.
But then you still had the roll bar as well, right?
I still had the roll bar, because the roll bar came with it. And I even think on my first event, I did have the bucket seat.
Okay.
Because I stole it from Evan when he crashed his car.
Shout out Evan. So going into it, you basically had kind of every Miata owner's first mod. So coils, yeah, wheels, tires, a seat, a roll bar, which honestly, before your first track event, that's probably the most important thing.
Yeah, you don't want to flip over and accidentally chop off your arms or head. It's not ideal.
Yeah. And then how did that go, and what did you learn from that?
I was honestly very nervous going into it because I didn't know what to expect. I don't know how all of it went, but it was really fun. I had a lot of fun. It was a very big adrenaline rush. What I did learn though is that cambered wheels and 0 offset is not ideal, and you don't want that, especially stretched tires. They definitely gave me a lot of anxiety because I was definitely worried about it like popping out of the seam. I was very worried about that, but I ended up going for it, and I had all-season performance tires, so they were kind of like all-season plus, I guess you could say, and they squealed a lot. And they didn't grip that well in autocross because autocross was very tight. So for my first event, I guess what I got is my tires aren't cutting it. My car is bouncy because I was playing with the suspension and I had it on stiff and it wasn't that good. I also just kind of noticed that, you know, it wasn't really flowing well. It just kind of felt like I was just kind of bouncing all over the place, and like it was really hard to just keep it into place, right? Because my tires kept slipping. everything was just kind of iffy. But it was really fun because I've never experienced it before, so that was fun. That was my first day. So I think after that, I was like, screw it. I got these wheels with tires. These are Koenig Ultragrams, and they are 15 by 9s. So I had 15 by 8s. So I went an inch wider, and then 35. These are plus 35 offset, and I had 0 offset, so they're more in and less camber. I still have a little bit because you do want a little bit when you track. These grip like no other. It's like you're driving on railroad. Wherever you point the steering wheel, it will go with no problem.
And then for tires, you have
the Toyo tires, Proxies, R888s.
Yep.
Those things are grippy. They're really good.
They seem to be kind of the go-to nowadays. I've heard controversial things about them, but everybody's still running them, so.
Yeah, a lot of people do run them. I see them all over the place, honestly. If you want to know, these are actually pretty good in the rain. I mean, I don't know about high horsepower cars, but my car, it was actually pretty good. Wherever I read it, they were saying that it's very bad because they'll just slip. You know, because they're not, I mean, they're track tires. They're not meant for rain. But these, personally for me, they were pretty good. So if you're a Miata owner, and you want R888s, you'll be good in the rain, don't worry.
So now we're on to event 2. Event 1 was wheels, tires, and kind of general mods, exhaust, coilovers, seat. You had a harness, right?
Yeah, I had a harness, yeah.
So basically everything you think you should do for your first track day, do to it, but don't do more, because I think when you start to do more and you drop like $3-4 grand before you even do one track day, you're not gonna know what you need to improve and what you need to change. So Dennis obviously went into it with wheels and tires that didn't work for the track event, and so he learned that and went on to the next one. So let's say track day 2.
Yeah, track day 2, I had these wheels and tires. Game changer. These things gripped, and I instantly, so I think on my first event, I scored 15th out of like 60th in my class. And this second event that I went into, I was, I think, 8th out of 60 or 70. It was quite a bit of people. But I was up there already. I did significantly better because these things just gripped, and I was able to just take it. You know, no matter where I turn the steering wheel, it just went. Yeah, that was the wheels and tires. Honestly, are the biggest game changer from what I did when I was just dailying it all the time.
I think wheels and tires are probably the biggest mod that you can do to a car because it is the only thing that is connecting your car to the ground.
Yeah.
It's tires, and the rotational mass of wheels is huge. Unsprung weight as well, huge, but yeah, it made a difference.
It made a huge difference. I got significantly better just from that. It was I can't even explain how good it was. it was like a game changer. So I think that was it for event 2. But for event 3, so on my third run, I had a bumper cut. If you don't know, Miata, NA Miata specifically, honestly NBs too. Honestly, I don't know about the other ones, but NA, NB, they have parachutes for rear bumpers. And that's one thing I wanted to eliminate, and I cut my bumper, not like a full straight cut, just in the middle. I had this bumper cut, and it honestly was a pretty big game changer too, because if you don't know, they come out and they curve underneath the car almost, and they trap a lot of air. You know, that kind of slows you down. So I did a little bumper cut, and I added a little custom made jack point. It's pretty sweet, it's very convenient. That jack point was just for convenience. Nothing, not really performance.
Can you tie a strap off of it if you need to get towed out
Technically,
somewhere?
yeah, you could. It's very strong. Rear bumper was a pretty big game changer too because it made a lot of air flow through pretty easily. It kind of, you know, like it wasn't a parachute, it wasn't holding me back. That was just for the third event, that's all I had.
Okay guys, now we're gonna go over the engine very briefly because there's not too much performance stuff done to this, but there is just enough that it's worth mentioning. So why don't you kind of just go over everything in this engine bay right now?
Yeah, so it's just a 1.6, the worst engine you could get in a Miata. It just has a cooler intake and a radiator, upgraded radiator. I do have another coolant reservoir just because my OEM one cracked and it wasn't holding any coolant. And I also heat wrapped my headers because that's, you know, you want to get rid of as much heat as possible. I also didn't have my shield, my heat shield, so that was a big thing. But other than that, that's kind of it. I did have to clean out my whole intake and my throttle body.
Was it idling weird? I feel like I remember.
It was, yeah. Actually, it was. I just had to replace my idle valve sensor.
Okay.
It was bad, and I just replaced it, and we're good to go now. Also, for the first run, I changed out my exhaust. I did have a Manzo catback, which was extremely loud. Too loud for PIR racetrack, so I had to change it out, it's just an ISR catback now. It's a little quieter, still pretty loud though.
Okay guys, and now we are on to the 4th track day. So at this point, Dennis knew quite a bit about how the car handled and felt on track, which is completely different from just driving it on the street. Even just like carving the canyons or going down the back roads. Like track event, you're full lock, tires are squealing. You're often not at full lock when you're driving on the street. There's not turns that tight. So that's when good tires and wheels and having all the necessary supporting mods makes a huge difference. So now we're on to the 4th track event, which this is the biggest visual change to the car, which is where it's at currently.
Yeah, so there's one big, hidden change and very big visual change. So one visual change is that I have that front lip, I have these side skirts, and I have that rear little duck lip. Honestly, that front lip changes a lot. It does, because my car was pretty high. I think I'm a solid like 6-8 inches. Just the front bumper is 6 to 8 inches off the ground, and it was quite a bit. A lot of air went underneath and it flew right through that rear bumper. Kind of didn't really do much. It just kind of went in and out. So I put a lip, and the lip was probably the biggest game changer. I felt instantly when I was just driving it down the freeway that the front end was heavier, and not a bad heavy, but a good heavy. Like I felt like my wheels and tires were more on the ground than they were before. Side skirts I don't know, they didn't really change much. I just put it for aesthetics reasons really, because it matches everything else. And then the rear wing also kind of helps out a little bit, not much. But I do feel that the rear end is also slightly heavier. It's a very minor change, so you can hardly even tell. Also aesthetic reason, really. And then the biggest hidden aspect is I got a new transmission for this car. So so this is a 1.6. Let's just say that. It's the worst engine that you could get in Miata. I have it.
He has it,
I have it. It's the worst engine you could get in a Miata. And I have it. So, doing autocross, doing all these little changes to the car, you figure out how to use the car's full potential. You don't have power in this car. That's the best thing about it. You don't have power, you get to learn how to actually control it, how to drive it. It's not just, gas it and you're good to go. You need to learn techniques, the way to handle low power and how to use momentum. Momentum's a big one for these cars. These are momentum cars. The 1.6, very bad, very weak. But my transmission was very bad. It was grinding in 5th gear. It was crunching a lot when I was decelerating in gear, which, didn't really change any performance. It didn't sound good. It didn't sound good at all. And I think I did a transmission flush when I did my clutch on that 1.6 transmission, and I had little silver shinings over there, but we don't gotta worry about that one. So yeah, I found a transmission and a short shifter that guy was selling, and I bought it from him, but he had his from a 1997 NA that was a 1.8. So this has a 1.8 transmission but a 1.6 engine, which is a little interesting, but they're completely compatible, so it works. It's a pretty big game changer too, especially a short shifter. Honestly, I could change gears a lot faster now. That last event that I did, I had a lot faster timing. I was more reactive. I felt like I didn't have to focus more on shifting. I just had to focus on driving, which is what you want for autocross, for any track really.
Beautiful. And so that's kind of the 4th stage as of right now. You've done quite a bit to the car, and I think it's a super good strategy going into, if you guys want to do autocross with your Miata or any car, go and do it stock, just how the car is, and feel it out, and then adjust from there. Don't sit and read all these forums and do all this stuff and try and do all this research and be like, oh, I gotta buy this, I gotta buy this, I gotta do this, and then you never actually go out and do that first event because you're spending all this time upgrading your car and spending a bunch of money. Go out, do the event, and Dennis found that his biggest thing was wheels and tires. The offset was jacked up, the tires squealed, they didn't grip. He changed that, huge game changer. And then the next time he went into it, he felt out something different, and then he went with aero mods. And there's certain things that you need. You need a roll bar, and you need honestly bucket seats and a harness, but go out and just drive your car and see what you need to adjust for your driving style. And so I think that's the biggest takeaway here. Yeah, like you said, it's very important to not just go all out, because you're not going to learn anything. It's like being instantly smart. You won't you won't learn the whole, you won't go through the process of it. I went through all these events, and every single time I felt something different, and I knew what I needed to fix, what I wanted to fix, and what I needed to do. I guess, guys, if you are gonna just read and then buy stuff, do safety stuff. Don't do any of the other stuff. Don't get, a cat back and headers. Get a roll bar and get a harness. So
yeah, don't get carried away.
Yeah. When's your next track event?
This Saturday.
Is it this Saturday?
This Saturday.
Oh man, I'm out of town. When's your next track event?
It's in a month.
in a month. Comment below, should I go out and do a vlog with Dennis and vlog his whole track day on his next event, and then at the track we can talk about what you'd want to change after you've done all of this?
Yeah.
You want to?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
You should.
Yeah.
My next event is, I think, the 28th or 29th of next month. Sure.
Yeah, we could do that. That'd be sick. Oh, and we forgot one last mod, guys. Probably the biggest mod that's been done to this car to improve horsepower. The stickers.
Absolutely. Biggest game changer.
Okay guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If you're interested in any of the stuff on this car, I'll try and leave as many links below in the description. Dennis and myself are both on Instagram, so you can DM us if you want to know anything else. I want to do a track day now that I thought about it while we were doing this. I don't know why I haven't thought of that earlier, but
It's all right.
a track day with Dennis would be super cool. Talk about the car and the tuning while we're actually out there. If you guys enjoy this type of content, make sure to like and subscribe, and that's all I got for you guys today. Follow this kid on Instagram.
Yeah, right there.
Goofy Miata.
There it is. It's a good
Thank you guys
car.
so much. Peace. What's that? Perfect timing. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm all alone and still learning to let go. I'll carry on my own and find out where I belong. And I just need to move